There is really nothing approaching the study on the Navy as a whole similar to what the late Professor Martyr did for the Royal Navy. There is an old joke that the one thing that distinguishes the history of naval operations from the history of military operations on land is ships sink. We usually know what happened. It's hard to disguise the fact that a ship sank, but it is much more difficult to determine why a ship was used or not used in the way she was. In general, there often seems to be more information about the ship's technical specifications and design. In a topic as broad as this study, it would be unwieldy to follow strict chronological lines. I have therefore divided the work into theaters or geographical areas, and, inevitably, there will be some going backward and forward in time. Geographical names are always a problem, and I have tried to use those most familiar to the people at the time, rather than those a modern linguistic purist would employ. Most of the places named in the text are on the maps accompanying the volume. The listener is no doubt aware that many names have changed, and the current place name will not necessarily coincide with the one in use in 1914 through 1918. Russian ship names were a particular problem. I have attempted to standardize them based on both Conway's All the World's Fighting Ships and Anthony J. Watts's The Imperial Russian Navy, which usually but not always coincide. I should like to thank for their assistance David Brown, Robert Coppock, and the staff of the Naval Historical Branch, Ministry of Defense, London, Roderick Sotheby, Keeper, Department of Documents, and the staff of the Imperial War Museum, London, Dr. R. A. Morris and the staff of the Manuscripts Division, National Maritime Museum, Greenwich, Nicholas Roger and the staff of the Public Record Office, London, Contre-Amiral Châtel, Chef, and Pierre Waxman, Conservateur en Chef, and the staff of the Service Historique de la Marine, Vincennes, G. J. A. Raven, Director of Naval History, Royal Netherlands Navy, and Dr. Evelyn Cherpak, Naval Historical Collection Division, and the staff of the Library, Naval War College, Newport, Rhode Island. For their advice and assistance, I would also like to thank Professor John Sumida, Professor Holger Hervig, Professor Charles H. Fairbanks, Professor Robert M. Grant, Dr. David Trask, Dr. John N. Westwood, Dr. Norman Friedman, Mr. Erwin Seiche of the Arbeitsgemeinschaft für Österreichische Marinegeschichte, Vienna, Engineer Erich Heisler and Mrs. Nicholas Baker, and Capitano de Fregata, C.P., Izio Ferranti. Ms. Carolyn Reynolds and the Interlibrary Loan Office of Strozier Library, Florida State University, performed wonders in tracking down obscure titles, in addition to the extra work caused by the unknown individual who stole the library's entire set of Der Krieg zur See some years ago. For permission to quote from copyright or unpublished material, I should like to thank the trustees of the National Maritime Museum, Papers of Admirals Beatty and Limpus, Mr. Thomas Trowbridge, Papers of Admiral E.C.T. Trowbridge, Commander Richard A. Fillmore, Papers of Admiral Richard F. Fillmore, and Mrs. Margaret Monroe, Papers of Commander G.M. Eady. I should also like to apologize to any holders of copyright I have been unable to trace. Documents that are Crown copyright appear by permission of the Controller, Her Majesty's Stationery Office. The maps of the Mediterranean, the Aegean, the Adriatic, the Aegean coast of Asia Minor, Sabioncello and the Dalmatian coast, the Mediterranean patrol zones, and the Otranto Barrage appear by permission of Rutledge. Mr. Peter Kraft, Director of Cartography, and his staff at the Florida Resources and Environmental Analysis Center prepared all other maps. Paul G. Halpern, Tallahassee, Florida. 1. The Naval Balance in 1914. The First World War was preceded by a generation of navalism, for perhaps never before or since have naval affairs been of such interest to the citizens of the great powers. This attention was fueled by the popular press, which tended to present warships as the most advanced product of the science and technology of the machine age. The public also was fascinated with more peaceful applications of maritime